There we go. There we go. So this was a small presentation of where I come from, but I don't know anything about you. So I have set up a WooClap environment for you, and you have the event code Ylva day 1. So I would like you to start to answer the 3 first questions, because there are 6 or 7 of them. But if you start to answer the 3 first questions, because they are about they are about who you are, where do you come from, what do you study or teach, if you are teaching. And I would also so much like to know what your dissertation or PhD thesis is about. And perhaps also if you have languages included in that PhD thesis. And why do I need to know? Why would I care about that? Why is it important for me to know about it? Yes, because we are going to spend the whole week together, and I don't have a clue about how I could contribute with my knowledge to where you are in your academic career or in your working profession. So this will give me some information about it. But there is also one more thing that is important for me, because as you might have heard in the presentation of me earlier today, I just have received a research project on the Swedish literary canon and how to teach the Swedish literary canon in school, or how to teach literature in school. So if your project or your dissertation includes literature in some way, please tell me about it, because I really would like to discuss literary canon issues with you, because I think that you have so much to teach me. And perhaps we can also be in dialogue about this, because literary canon is not a straightforward issue. It's quite complex. So please, I will leave you. And so please concentrate on answering the questions as much as you can. So write them down. I will give you 10 minutes or so. And please discuss with your neighbor and tell me if you cannot reach it. You cannot. What? Because I need to go there and open it, maybe.
You can use my.
We'll see. No, I will use my own. I will use my own, but I need your login. But discuss with your neighbor about literary canon, where you are from, and which languages are coming into your teaching or your studies, so that you have it clearly, and then you will be ready to formulate it when I get it up. Do you have your? Yes, I'm up actually. Oh, why doesn't it work? Display. Well, someone has managed to get in. No one has managed to get in. This is really strange. Have you gone to World Club? Wait. Okay. Let's see. Have you tried once again? You go to wooclub.com and then you will be asked for a code. It should be Ylva day one. And you do not come in because there are people who have really come in here. So if you, why can't I not go further? Let's see. Doing this, copy direct. I should be able to.
Yes.
Now it managed. Okay, great, it works. I'm sorry. It works now?
Yes.
Yes, everybody says yes. I'm so happy. Yes, now you're coming in. So it would actually be great if I could show this for them, but never mind. It will be too complicated, perhaps. So I'm waiting. I see that your answers are coming in now. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but they will not, it doesn't matter because they will not see anything. Mm. So this is so interesting. So there are so many people here from Aliker. Mostly are from Aliker. Maybe it's difficult with your phone. It works. If it doesn't work, you can also come forward and but it should work with the link wooclub.com and Ylva day one. Hmm. Oh, we have someone from Yemen here. Wow. Kashmir, Palestine. Wow. Hmm. So have you finished with the first question? Yes, not yet. I'm waiting for someone. Yeah, I'm very glad that you say no when it's no, it's no. Then we wait. Everybody on board. And while waiting, I think this is interesting. What I have noticed when I've been here just 2 days, I've noticed something that is very different from Sweden and from Swedish education, and maybe from Swedish culture. And that is the individual approach. So in Sweden, I'm always confronted with what I would call individualism. Individualism. And I think it is problematic. And I can tell you how I see that this is presented in my daily life. The individualism, I see it because, for example, students, they only think about their own career, about having grades instead of learning anything. And they are not so caring about their fellow students always. And what I have experienced here is that you have a very deep notion of care. I see it all the time. And that is a very beautiful thing in itself. But the question is, how can we use this concept of care that you seem to know a lot about, use it in that way so that it also has a meaning and a significance and a status in education and in society. I think this is so extremely important today when we are faced with a lot of shifts, a lot of cultural shifts on many levels. So that is one thing that I've noticed. And I would say something more about this issue of individualism, because when speaking about collaboration, I suppose that this is something that you also know something about, how to collaborate. Because this is what I see. For example, now we had problems with the technology. Around me, it feels like I have 10 people around me and everyone is doing something and suddenly everything is fixed. And that would not be possible in Sweden. I mean, first of all, we are not so many people, so we cannot count on each other for that. Sometimes you just are alone in situations. But what I also notice in Sweden is that people sometimes have difficulty in collaborating. They must have control over everything. So I decide we do like this and we do like this. And if you don't like it, I don't care. But the idea, I think at least, when we learn, the best way of learning, the best way of progressing and of moving forward is actually to collaborate and to listen to each other and moving forward like that. And that is something that I think it's important to teach and learn from early on. So now perhaps you have, we can move further to the second question. Okay? Yes. So we'll see if I can open it here and if I still have yes. So what are you studying and at what educational level? Do you see that? Thank you. Masters in education, that is, perhaps you can say something about your thesis also? Mm-hmm. Yeah, wonderful. English language. And some of you are already teaching and you're educating other students, and you were recently a student yourself. Mm. And some of you are PhD in language. There's so many things coming up here. Thank you. Mm. Masters in English language. So this is really interesting. We can see people working in language, people working in literature. So next time we meet, I will speak about the research school that I'm leading, that is funded by the Swedish Research Council. And in that school, I have managed to bring in the most prominent scholars in Sweden in language, in literature, and also in education. Because these disciplines that I see that you represent in these rooms, these disciplines cannot anymore be taught separately. They cannot be conceptualized separately. We need to see where are the intersections and how can we do research in these intersections between these three fields. But this is something that we can discuss later on. But now I see with my own eyes that we have it in this group. So are you ready with question 2? Can we move further to question 3? Okay. So this is more what we are going to do together. What do you expect from this week? Because for me, I'm coming from Sweden, so please understand me. Uh, why are you taking this course? Why are you here? Why did you decide to take up your precious time to go into this course and listen to this tiny blonde pale scholar from Sweden? What was the motivation here? Please tell me. And now you need to reflect perhaps a little bit. Don't hesitate. Speak to your neighbor if you want inspiration, because maybe your neighbor can give you some clues to this, so that we have something to go further with during this week. This is really important for me. Mm. Yes. Yeah, I just saw something go by here about learning more about cultural sensitivity and so on. And I suppose only by hearing me speaking about my experiences of higher education, of teaching, teacher education, and so on, that will be a way for you to have some input and think critically, or at least in a new way, about what you're doing in your studies, in your career. But I give you some more some more minutes to think about this. And as I said, you can discuss with your neighbor. I will make you talk during these days, I assure you. So yes, so please start already now. Yes. But I will go slowly. So this is just a test. But during the days to come, we will reorganize this place completely. And you will help me with that, because you are teachers, or at least you will become educators too. So you know, you can. Yes.
We are killing it by scanning it from there.
Yes. Look here, so much interesting things. Mm. Yes, and of course we will also speak about this very fluffy concept of culturally empowering education. What is it? You heard so beautiful words here during the introduction, but actually, I can tell you that this concept, that is the foundation of the research school that I try to implement with doctoral students, it's really under discussion every day. What is culturally empowering education? Because we do not know. It's very difficult to know what kind of impact you have on students, on pupils, because it is learning is lifelong, and often learning something, it takes a long time, and we understand that we have got insights, that we have learned something maybe 5 or even 10 years after. So culturally empowering education, we have discussed it because it can also mean so many different things, and I will come back to that during this week. For example, do we mean that we want to give or offer to our students some kind of cultural capital that they wouldn't be able to acquire on their own? Yes, could be that. Could it be something else? It could perhaps also be listening to the students and the pupils and see what are their actual cultural capital, their linguistic capital, and how can we use that in order to learn something new. That is also culturally empowering education, but perhaps much more a culturally responsive education, more than empowerment. But it could also be but because often when we speak about culturally empowering education, we always, or almost always, think about people that are marginalized, that are underserved, that we need to help in some ways. And we forget the privileged students, those who have everything. They have money to go to any education they want to. They don't need actually to be interested in any other cultural group than their own because they have everything fixed for them. For us, and for me at least, and this is something that I do with one of my doctoral students, we look at these very privileged part of the population in Sweden because we see that they need culturally, maybe not empowerment, but they need to be culturally challenged in a transformative way so that they actually can put themselves in the situation of someone else. And that is hard work. And I hopefully in the third, or maybe even tomorrow, we will be able to dive into that project because I think it's passionate to look at how these very privileged students are reacting to this transformation, not to be empowered, but perhaps to learn, to broaden their scope of what culture is. So now I've got so many good answers there. So we can actually go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you for these questions so far. There are questions for a little bit later, but I would like to move into global education, international education. We started on a very local level in Jönköping, and now let's fly away. And please, there you go. No, we don't. Here we go. While we're waiting for the slide. Yes. Okay, before we move into the international education, I have this quote that I want to share with you that is sort of living with me when I think about learning. It's from the German poet Rainer Maria Rilke. And I've read it in French, so that's why the title is in French. I'm sorry, Lettre à un jeune poète. So it's Letter to a Young Poet. And this is my translation from French. So, I mean, indulgence here. Oh, what happened? Oh. So, I ask you to be patient with everything in your heart that is yet unresolved and try to love the questions themselves, like books written in a very strange language. Do not look for answers now. That will not be able to present themselves to you because you are not ready to live them. You should actually live everything. Live the questions now. Maybe one distant day without noticing it. Will you live the arrival of the answer? So, yeah, this is very poetic, but I think that it is more and more important to think about learning like this, like a letter to a young poet. Because today there are so few answers, there are so few truths. So that is why we need to be with the students, and discuss things critically and creatively, and perhaps also discuss the facts that we build our understandings and our way to the answer on. And I would like you to be with me during this week with this kind of mindset. We cannot find answers, but we can be there discussing the trouble. So, global education, as I already said, I mean, global education, what is that? Is it internationalization? Yeah, I mean, global education, if global is something about commercial, universal, one size for all, perhaps this is not nothing that we want to strive for. But at the same time, we need perhaps to think about global perspectives in education. But let us ask these questions. What do we mean? Is it about accessibility? I mean, who gets the possibility to have the best education in the world? Yes. What is the best education in the world, by the way? And is global education international? Sometimes we must ask ourselves if it's really so. Because I think that some educational programs in universities and so on, in the US, for example, they think that they are global because they have students from all over the world, and they think that they are international, but they are only American, and they are only from US, and they present themselves as a universal education more than anything else. It's not international, and it's perhaps not intercultural neither, because it is an American way of looking, Western way of looking at education. And it is sort of promoted and presented as something that is global. So beware about that discourse. And is global education intercultural? I would really like it to be that way. So if we are to shape what is in the concept of global education, I am a bit normative there. I think it should be intercultural. I think it's so important in this internationalization fervor that we think about intercultural concepts and how we also create intercultural activities in the classrooms. But this is not evident. It can so easily we can fall into the trap of flags, foods, and festivals. So, for example, we can present Sweden with a salmon, maybe, and what can we say more about Sweden? These biscuits for Christmas, and yeah. What? Oh, Maltese. What is?
The lakes, the lakes.
Oh, yes, the lakes, of course. Yes, yes, of course. And the winter sports and all that. Yes, that we are in the nature all the time, and the woods. Yeah, the nature. So, yeah, that's Sweden. And that could be good, perhaps, to some extent. But today we can have all that on any TikTok movie, any social media. So it doesn't matter. We really need to go into the nuances. So anyway, how do we create interculturality in this very diverse context where we have social media and information about different countries and languages all the time? But at what level? Often it is at this level, flags, foods, and festivals, and there it stays. So global education, when I think about global education, I also think about, okay, if we work with global education, it should also be the most, the highest quality of education. I think about Sweden, it's known for its monoculturality too. That we think about Sweden and maybe all the northern countries as monolingual. And they think about themselves as monolingual too. But this is really changing since perhaps 15 years or so. So I think this, what is high quality? It must be taking in intercultural perspective, taking in multilingualism, and also thinking about what kind of knowledge will be valuable in the future. I don't know for you, but I suppose, like in all universities in the world, we are divided into faculties, into disciplines, we have teaching traditions and so on. But this is something that is changing, or the needs for knowledge and for teaching are changing. So what do these structures do to our education, and perhaps global education for the future, if we wanted to have high quality, needs to change also its ways of being delivered. So that is the idea. And of course, global education, and if global education has something of internationalization, of interculturality inside it, then which languages should be promoted in this global education? Well, currently, English is the lingua franca. So, I mean, in India, you have a huge asset here. You are not only bilingual, you are often trilingual or more than that. And this is something that we don't have in the same way in Sweden, but we are getting there. More and more people are bilingual in Swedish and English, and these are the most important languages in Sweden right now. So you can capitalize on that to actually build your education and promote the fact that you have these languages, and you can collaborate with anyone in the world who is willing to speak English. But at the same time, perhaps you would like to promote your other languages too. So how do you marry these things, and how do you work with both perspectives? That would be really interesting to discuss with you. So in Sweden, for example, as I showed you earlier, we have 5 minority languages, and in Sweden, you have the possibility, or no, you have the right to have mother tongue tuition. So if your mother tongue is another language than Swedish, you can have mother tongue tuition once a week for free within the state education. But this is a very complicated issue, because these educators, they don't have the same status or prestige as other teachers. So they are treated in, I would say, in a discriminatory way. So we have a PhD thesis now going on about mother tongue tuition in Sweden in order to promote it, to support that. But the fact is that the current government in Sweden, which is very extreme right wing right now, unfortunately, that is what it is. And they do not want any mother tongue tuition in Sweden, because they want Sweden to be Swedish and Swedish only, which is quite impossible if we think that we are going to create a global education, and we are going to live in a global world and collaborate with other countries. So we are in all these contradictions, and I think you recognize all this. But except for languages, when we speak about global education, which system should we promote when we speak about it? So Rizvan, you talked about all these initiatives that you have at Aligarh Muslim University to internationalize, to make exchanges with other universities. But at the same time, how do we do with our different educational systems? It would be so interesting to know more about how you count credits from another university in another country, and vice versa. how do other countries count credits that they have got from an Indian university? And how is the balance between incoming and outgoing students and these issues? So I think that on an international level, if we look at what is happening on a very superficial level at universities all over the world, we are sort of copycatting each other all the time. So one university started with, okay, now we must brand sustainability. Everyone brands sustainability today. It would be crazy not to do it. So one university started to have an AI policy. Okay, we must have an AI policy. And then it's like a fire all over the world. And then we have AI policies in all the universities. So on a superficial level, we are really sensitive to what is going on in different university cultures. And this is, of course, not the case in the school cultures that are completely, I mean, the upper secondary school level is completely dependent on what is happening in higher education, right? And vice versa in a way, because we recruit from upper secondary school into the universities. So if there are different kinds of educational cultures, approaches, or systems, structures, becomes difficult. I don't know how you deal with the youngest students at Al Muslim University, but I know how it is at my university. So many young students today, they are not academically ready to do what we expect them to do in a university setting. So what we have done is to create different preparatory courses so that people have the basics for what we expect from students at university level. And you see, I mean, this is kind of an imbalance and asymmetry that we need to work with. Why is it like that? So when I will speak about education along the way here until Saturday, if you bear with me, then it will always be in a lifelong learning perspective. So, okay, we can speak about teacher education, but then teacher education, it's about educating in primary school, upper secondary school, and maybe adults. So it's all the way, we learn all the way. And when we become academics and educators at the university level, from my point of view, you are supposed to be able to think about that lifelong trajectory so that you know what you're doing. And if you have the lifelong trajectory in mind, you will always think about what these people that I'm speaking to, what they have with them in their learning luggage, I would say. And how can we sort of dig into that luggage and take it up and do something more about it? But often, I see it very often, we just do our thing as we have done for centuries or at least decades. And then we sort of exclude a lot of possibilities and perhaps also talents and knowledge that actually are existing in our student groups. So this is what I think about when I think about questions regarding global education. Okay, let's move on. So I would like to address education for international understanding. It's UNESCO. So this is worldwide document, I would say, and this is from 1974. So this is old stuff. But here we speak about education for international understanding. So what do they say? An international dimension and a global perspective in education at all levels and in all its forms. That is international understanding. So we can perhaps say that international understanding, this is perhaps global, something that moves towards global education. And we should also include in that kind of education a respect for all people, their cultures, civilizations, values, and ways of life. That is huge. I mean, can we really do that in our everyday teaching and learning? Respect for all people, their culture, civilization, values, and ways of life. Then we need to reflect a bit. But we also need to show an awareness of the growing global interdependence between individuals and nations. This, I think, is really crucial when we think about global education, right? So this global interdependence, how it is happening, how is it happening in education? I think here you really need to discuss a little bit with your neighbor. This one. Awareness of the growing global interdependence between individuals and nations. How is this happening? How can you see this among your students and in your everyday life as teachers and educators? Just take 2 minutes and ask your neighbor about it or discuss it a bit. What do you think about the question? What questions? The question. Global interdependence between individuals and nations. Do you see that? Do you teach?
No, I don't believe that I am learning. I am learning. I'm not teaching. I'm a master student.
Okay. So have you seen other do you see that you cannot think about education as something national?
Obviously, it must be national education. It's a national thing that which is must be inculcated in everywhere in um, given to marginalized students or which are underdeveloped nations or countries. There must be education must be given, and it's important for all.
Yes.
At individual level, education is much more important. At group, we can support like teachers, train teachers.
Yes.
Can get more better education.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. But it seems like you are very aware of this issue, and I think that when I speak about this interdependence, I think it's so obvious. For example, when we go into research, some of you are working on their PhD thesis, and this is something that you do on an individual level. So it's and it's kind of strange actually that we still have the PhD education in that way, because I just ask you, it's a little bit provocative. Why do we have PhD thesis when all research today, almost every research study or topic that really matters and has an impact, that is not an individual work. It's always in a group, in a research environment, with a team. So that is, you know, one illustrative examples of how interdependence and the interdependent dimension becomes more and more important, not only in education, but also in research. And I would say in education too, because we need to work with education, perhaps to look at the interdependency between different disciplines also, between language and literature, and between education and technology science. I don't know. So we can also see here that there is this the need for international solidarity and cooperation. This is so 1970s. We don't speak about that anymore. Where is the international solidarity today? What did Sweden do when the US withdrew from Afghanistan? It was a disaster. I'm ashamed of what Sweden did, because they left their embassy without taking any of their Afghan employees back to Sweden. They left them there for the war. Afterwards, they realized that this was not a moral good way to do, so they actually revised it, so to say, but it was very late in time. So what is happening? I mean, this solidarity, and this is a moral solidarity. What do we do with that? And then we come back to the concept of care that you seem to know a lot about in this environment. And that I also think that you should formulate. What is care in your education? What has it been in your education? How will you apply care? And how do you sort of design activities to include care and this moral solidarity into your education? And how do we create in education a readiness of individuals to participate in solving the broader problems of society, the nation, and the world? This is a huge issue. I'm sorry, but this is exactly what I love to speak about and what we need to do, but in more in productive activities, perhaps in new ways in education. So this readiness of individuals to participate in solving the broader problem, I will test this with you the last day of this week in a futures methods workshop. So I prepare you already now, because I think, and this is also what I see in my work with futures-oriented methods in upper secondary school and in teacher education, that this helps us to become more ready to participate in solving the broader problems that we have in society today. Because often we are presented with inevitable narratives about our nation, about the future, about ourselves, etc., etc. And this is not about readiness to solve the problems in the world. We need to be able to create our own ways to shape the future and to find the solutions to different problems. So this is something about international education. And now, when we have been speaking about international education and more from a global perspective, I would like to move into transformative education and add that concept to global education. I don't know how do you conceive of transformative education? Someone who has an idea of what transformative education is, or already has something formulated about it. What do you think of when you think about transformative education? Why do we need this concept? Yeah.
It changes our whole behavior. It's like learning how to ride bicycle, for example.
Mm,
When you learn how to ride bicycle, it changes your whole personality, the whole behavior.
Mm.
And as a result, you're going to train others also to do that.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mm.
So when it's transformative education, it tells you that yoga, that it's starting to call yoga as yoga, it's not just about exercise. It's something connected to spirituality. It's more than that, actually.
yeah.
And that transformation goes on to delve deep into it and think more about it
Mhm.
and get into this cultural education more and more.
Mm,
And as a result, understand what exactly interculturality is
mm,
through one medium, one thing that is branded all across the world.
yes.
In
Yeah.
the same way in other departments too, like if you are getting into new thing, it's changing you, and as a result, you are changing the majority, you're transforming the whole culture actually.
Yes, so it moves into circles. So you start with yourself. So transformative education, in your view, then it could be this that you learn a skill. It could be biking. It could be yoga, but it's something that you do, and you use perhaps your body, your mind, or something. But it's a skill, and it can change you. It doesn't change you, I think, per automation. But if you realize that this skill can help me to have a better space in the world, or can give me more agency in this and that way, you can actually move and broaden your scope as an individual, and then into circles, so that you start to be in a community of people.
If I could just append that, it changes your worldview altogether, changes you within you.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And if I could just, another analogy, it would be like learning swimming in the swimming pool.
Mm,
But it's transforming you so much that you can even swim in a troubled water, maybe in the ocean or maybe in the sea if it is required to. It transforms you from within in such a way that you're ready to take more challenges, you're ready to face the world, new situation, and you can conquer anything.
yes. So transformativity is about growth, and not only to gain more money or to perform better and so on. It has something to do with insight, with wisdom, to grow inside in a spiritual way also. Yeah. So these thoughts, they come from the learning education scholar John Dewey spoke about this, and we have also Freire, and the education of the oppressed, for example. So transformation is perhaps something that we want to achieve. We want to help other people to gain or come to new insights in different ways. And this is a progress. And how do you motivate people to do that? Because learning how to swim, learning how to bike, learning yoga, all these things you can never learn them if you don't train and do them often. So yes, transformation is not anything that can come to you like this. You need to be in the learning and struggle, and also have help to be motivated in it, right? So here, once again, you can see these are the European documents about education. So these are European principles about education. So when education supports transformation on an individual or collective level, it has a global, if not planetary, signification. So it's very important to have that goal in mind. Every individual, every group, because we cannot, of course, we are not saviors, we cannot do miracles as teachers, but we know that we can help and support people, and sometimes miracles actually happen in groups and with certain people when we are there as teachers dedicated to the task. And I think it's quite interesting to see how the European documents, they formulate different themes for transformative educations, where you can see that once again with international understanding, so interculturality and all this. It's about transformative education, education for gender equality. This is also transformative because we change this in the whole world. Human rights education, education for development. And this is, of course, in relation to underdevelopment, I suppose. We have intercultural and multicultural education, as we have been speaking about. Peace education, education for a culture of peace. I think this couldn't be more important today. Citizenship education. And in relation to citizenship education, we also have digital citizenship education. And this is really important, because what is citizenship? It's about knowing about our civil rights, knowing about how to be engaged and do things, to change things in our local context, which of course has an impact on a global context. So I think this is always important to bear in mind, and also to take with you together with the students, that, okay, we're speaking about engagement here on a local level, but it is we are doing something globally here, so that we have this understanding in both ways. But this citizenship, when it goes digital, becomes kind of flurry and difficult to grasp, because in the digital world, things are not always the same. And national borders, for example, they become really fluffy and difficult to see. And what is a criminal and not criminal is not easy neither to actually understand. So a digital citizenship together with citizenship in education, this is paramount for tomorrow. And we have recently we have written an application for seeding money with a university in the north of Sweden in order to rethink digital citizenship and citizenship in education, because we need teachers to have development competence here, so that they can address these issues with students, mostly in upper secondary school, because there it becomes crucial. But then also we have education for sustainable development and 21st century skills and competence. And what do we have in these skills? It's digital skills are very important there, not least AI literacy. I don't know how much you have been discussing AI literacy in your education. Is it something that you have encountered? AI literacy? Not at all. No. And this is perhaps something that we need to address more then, and I will do that perhaps not tomorrow, but the day after. So that we can dive into what AI literacy is, and where you come in as educators to teach and learn about AI literacies. Fine, so all this is transformative somehow. And it's just interesting to see how the European community has formulated where we need to push for transformative learning. As you said, in a way that we do not only acquire skills, we need to change as persons, but also perhaps change something in society. So there we go. And then I would like to say something about, I think that I have time, and here we will go in also to the questions again on Woo Club.
take a tea break if you are
Yes,
feel like.
yes, we can do that. Or maybe you can, I can open the questions in book club during the tea break, because there I would like you to tell me a little bit more about your master thesis subject or your PhD subject, and especially if you have something towards literature and also language. And of course, transformation, global, international, speak up.
Or you can continue until 4:30 and wind up if you want.
Yes, I mean, I think that it's okay if we have some this, if you answer.
Take 20 minutes more.
Yes, I think 20 minutes more.
Later.
Yes, and then it's
After
okay.
that, we will have-
Yes, and then we have tea. So please answer these questions. Yeah, thank you. So I will open on Woo Club so that you can answer. I think it's open now. Have you checked? Can you go back to the QR code in the presentation? Otherwise, it was wooclub.com, and then the code is ILVA day 1. Oh dear. Can you get in? Yes, you get in. Does it work? No,
It's working the. Here are the questions that are.
it doesn't work, does it? Why is this? Because I don't receive any answers. You have a problem.
Here's the last question.
Wait, you are stuck on one.
What do you expect from the topic?
No, the next question is, can you formulate your dissertation? So what do I do? Why doesn't it work? Let's vote. I will check this better for tomorrow. I don't know. Why doesn't it work so well before?
It will work now, but the internet was not open.
Okay, it was the internet connection. I'm sorry. Now it will work. Let's see. Don't know. I will just. Are you sure I have this? I don't have internet.
Yeah.
No internet.
It will now.
Well, we'll see. Okay. So no, no. Yeah. Okay. Mhm. It works? Yeah. But why don't I receive anything here? No. Yeah. And I mean, if you're not doing a dissertation or anything, you have perhaps a topic that you're particularly interested in, something that you would like to do something more in depth with, or maybe just a reading that have marked you as a student, maybe a book, an author, maybe a teacher, an educator here. I don't know. You can write anything. I will not show anyone here. This is only for me. I will not show anyone at Al Muslim University. It's difficult. No, no. Does it work? Yeah. Works for you? What?
Yes, in a very distance.
English language and different practical techniques in this learning. That was so interesting to know how you bring in literature. How do you use literature to motivate for linguistic learning? So this could be something that you can discuss during the week. Mm. Oops, 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 oops. Oops. Okay, that didn't work. Well, next question. So when I was moving around here, and I have been speaking with several students here who are working with applied linguistics or linguistics in different ways. So my question to you is, what kind of ideas do you have? Or maybe you're already including literature into your linguistic teaching and learning, or instruction and learning. That would be interesting to know. So I have changed now to the next question, and that is, what pedagogical practices have you appreciated during your studies, and what do you think should be improved? And then, of course, you need to go to yourself and the community of teachers. For example, when we are teaching language, I know that in many contexts, we learn language in quite a written way. We don't get enough time to practice the language orally. So I have been an opponent to a PhD thesis recently, and these PhD students did in-depth studies on how AI agents could help in working with oral skills. So you don't need to speak up in a classroom with 60 students or even more. You can work with an AI agent to learn these skills, everyday skills on how to speak the language, because often that is associated with a lot of stress and affect and emotional issues. So this is quite new. It's a new technology that is in development and that we could explore. But except for that, I'm really interested also in knowing how you see that literature can be a basis for learning linguistic skills. Can we, for example, ask the students, what is your favorite book? I mean, if they learn English, most of them are, perhaps they have read or seen the pictures of Harry Potter. They know Harry Potter. So how can we use Harry Potter to learn grammar or so on? And there are so many other ways of doing this, but trying to motivate in different ways, that is interesting to explore, and perhaps you can discuss it together. Oh, you're so fast. Wonderful. I will go through this tonight. This will be so interesting. Thank you. But I also, well, if we can go to the last question, which is a little bit difficult, perhaps. So in the text that I shared with you today, it was a review of a book about core practices. And I thought it was so interesting because in this review, the author is really criticizing the book authors because they claim that they are global in their approach. But what do? They don't speak about Asia, India, and everything that is sort of outside Europe. So how can they claim this global perspective? And I think that is so common that we work like that. And maybe it would be the same if there were scholars in Asia and India working together on a book about global education, and Swedish or Western perspectives would not be in there. It would be the other way around, but the same. But it's important that we look at the kind of diversity that we actually represent in these cases. But I'm interested in the core practices that you observe, that you apply in your teaching vocation or as an educator. Or perhaps you haven't started to teach yet, but then you can perhaps picture yourself in an environment where you apply these core practices. What will you do very often with your students, for example? And why? You cannot answer because it works. It works well. You need to be, problematize it for me. Why is this core practice important? I don't know. For me, I would never have a teaching session without some kind of interactivity. So this is the first time I meet you, so I don't know really how you interact in your everyday life or in your education here. So I'm just testing through this medium so I can see a little bit, okay, what are you able to formulate? How will you answer? So then next time I know that I can, for example, go direct to you, but I know that you can answer this question. Please tell me about it. So it's, step by step, I get to know you and you get to know me. And this is the way I work with my students. And I often have students from all over the world and online. So I never get the opportunity to meet people like I do here. So it's a privilege. But it works well because we have these sessions that are always interactive. So I speak perhaps about 20 minutes, and then I put them into breakout rooms for 10 minutes. There are always a president of each breakout room taking notes. Then we come back. Each president gives 3 points that were the most important of their discussion. We share them in the whole group. Then I speak again, and then we go on like this. And this is my core practice because it works very well online. And I suppose that you also have these core practices. So please don't hesitate, even though it's not, if you haven't finished, we can open that question also tomorrow when we meet. Okay. So I think that I should say that there are only 3 concepts that I would like to add to global education, international education, and transformative education. And that is equality, equity, and also inclusion or inclusive education. So these 3 concepts hang together. Equality, this is something that is achieved, something that we can measure. Equity is about the process, and inclusion is very close to equity. So we need to think about these processes together. Yes.
You
Thank you.